NPP is represented by the ever-brilliant and dynamic Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, and the largest opposition party is represented by their perennial failed former President, Dramani Mahama. Akufo-Addo does not drink alcohol. Vice President Bawumia does not drink alcohol. Yes. He is not lazy.
And the NPP National Youth Organizer, Mustapha Salam, NPP Upper East, a press conference about the NPP Youth Manifesto launch here. Abusha Njamu Pino Ebekuti in Sama Mustapha Salam, about NPP for Ewama Youth no, se Ghana for Youth no to Abama NPP na media de Ghana. Abusha Njamu Pino Kuti and Rabet for Kono, so subscribe to YouTube channel we are. Make sure say subscribe, no like, no comment, no share. Si bien update biana be Abusha Yenguti Mustapha Salam Emra.
Professor Jane Naana Opoku-Agyemang was equally, if not more, inept. She was wicked to the youth of Ghana. Of times I have come to the region. It looks like I've lost count so far. Not long ago, I was here with a presidential candidate, and I am back. I am starting the National Youth Wing, starting a series of press engagements to talk about NPP youth-centric policies in our manifesto, and I thought that I should begin from the Upper East region with the very first one, and that's why you are seeing us here today. After here, I will go to the northern region and to the southern part of Ghana, and we'll continue with engagement, to ensure that we are able to have discussions on the way forward, share ideas, and of course, deliberate on the various pertinent issues that affect youth, and also how to empower young people in this country and to build a very prosperous future for myself, my colleagues, young people, and Ghanaians in general. Chairman and colleagues here, General Secretary, Deputy General Secretary, indulge me to begin the press conference. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. The Youth Wing would like to say thank you for honoring our invitation to this press conference. We are proudly and profoundly grateful. This press conference is important in many folds, as we intend to speak to the Ghanaian youth on the set of policies that the NPP has for them in our manifesto for the 2024 elections. Our manifesto, dubbed Selfless Leadership, Bold Solutions for Jobs and Business. The carefully thought through policies are meant to meet the aspirations of the youth of this country and offer opportunities for the development and empowerment of our esteemed youth. As we gear up for the elections in December, it is imperative that we interrogate the issues and make an informed decision on election day. In this election, the youth dominate the voters' roll, constituting almost 70% of voters between ages 18 to 40. The Ghanaian youth must elect a leader who represents their aspirations and has the vision to take them to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, friends, colleagues, this election is a crucial one, as we have a choice to make. The race is between two main candidates. The governing NPP is represented by the ever-brilliant and dynamic Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, and the largest opposition party is represented by their perennial failed former President, Dramani Mahama. These two candidates are in full gear of their campaigns and have put forward their manifestos, which contain the policies that they intend to implement once they get the mandate of the Ghanaian people. It is obvious that the track record and the characters of these two men will be put to strict scrutiny and should help form the basis for our decision. Fortunately for us, these two are known within our body politic. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know John Dramani Mahama. He became Vice President of Ghana in 2009 to President John Evans Atta Mills. When he was Vice President, he complained of being reduced to attending social functions and ceremonies, and yet today, his credit for infrastructure continued or initiated by President Mills, continued by himself, and completed by President Akufo-Addo, like the University of Ghana Medical Center, UGMC. Indeed, John Mahama still holds the title as the only vice president in our history who was investigated by his own Attorney General for corruption under the instructions of his boss, former President Evans Atta Mills. Vice President John Mahama rose to occupy the seat of the presidency in July 2012 after the sudden death of his boss, the president. He continued as president until he lost the 2016 election by the biggest margin in our political history, nearly 1 million votes. I know many who were perhaps too young to have witnessed this time as the leader of this country. But ask yourselves, from Kwame Nkrumah to Akufo-Addo, how can John Dramani Mahama was the only leader in our nation's history to or was rejected by Ghanaian voters who went for re-election? Indeed, ask yourselves, how come he has been rejected twice since Ghanaians tested him both as vice president and president? He inherited an oil-rich economy without any global crisis to deal with. He created his own crisis by 2014. The cedi was the worst performing the cedi was the worst performing currency. The economy by 2015 had applied for an IMF bailout, and by 2016, Ghana had seen the birth of Unemployed Graduate Association. At some point, he gave up and said he wasn't a magician to provide jobs. He told us he had run down the economy and that the flesh was all gone and left with bones. Schools did not have even common chalk. The situation was hopeless. The leader himself was rudderless and inept. We witnessed his symbolic performance as president, which saw your parents losing their jobs and customers because of doing so. Yes, 4 years of John Dramani Mahama was 4 years of doing so. And when his government realized that they had become merchants of doing so, they went ahead recklessly to sign excess take or pay power purchasing agreements. By the time the NPP took over the government of Ghana, there was forced to pay up to 1 billion a year, mainly for power we did not need. And some had to have their PPS cancelled, ending up with government going into arbitration. It was only in recent times that the Akufo-Addo government managed to convince some of them to accept renegotiated packages. Imagine the billions of dollars wasted on excess power that Mahama contracted and what it could have done for us. Is this the president we should bring back for 4 years, after which he would not be accountable to you? It is shocking that John Dramani Mahama still harbors this silly dream of becoming president of Ghana again. For what exactly, we all don't know. We want to ask John Mahama, what has he left something at the Jubilee House that we are unaware He should tell us, the good people of Ghana, we can retrieve it for him, and he'll go home and rest in peace. In fact, John Mahama was a lazy president. Yes. He personally mentioned in an interview that he usually got to the office at 10 a.m. and left by 4 p.m. In his entire stay in office as president, his cabinet met just about 40 times. Ladies and gentlemen, that is less than once a month. The civil servants at the presidency during Mahama's time in office told us stories of loitering around without doing anything. In fact, the vice president at the time, Patriotic Party, clocked more working hours than his boss. He reported to his office daily at 8 a.m. sharp and often worked through 7 p.m. No wonder why, by 2018, Mr. Kwesi and Mr. Atta had set up a campaign office in East Legon, preparing to contest John Dramani Mahama for the leadership of the NDC. I'm sure many people didn't know, but Mr. Atta was going to run for primaries and challenge John Dramani Mahama. But we all know what happened to him. He too, he died suddenly and mysteriously. May his soul rest in peace. The current president, Naana Akufo-Addo, stays in the office working after midnight. Akufo-Addo does not drink alcohol. Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia does not drink alcohol. Yes. He is not lazy. Yes. He comes up with solutions like drip to provide construction equipment to fix our roads in our districts and not buy private cars for pretty women for all manner of benefits. This is the stark difference between a serious person and a leader, a serious person and a person who leads for the pegs. John Mahama, who did not take his job seriously then, would not take it seriously now if we make the mistake to bring him back. Now that he doesn't have to account for his leadership and seek another term, he would be worse. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it wasn't John Mahama alone who was hopeless in office, but his running mate too. Professor Jane Naana Opoku-Agyemang was equally, if not more, inept. She was wicked to the youth of Ghana during her tenure as education minister. Her performance was abysmal as education minister as compared to the 4 years Dr. Matthew Opoku-Agyemang Napo was on the same seat. Napo was phenomenal as education minister and remains in the nation's history as the one who implemented the free SHS policy. What about Jane Naana Opoku-Agyemang? It is unthinkable that a university professor and a vice chancellor presided over one of the worst periods in our education history. If she and her boss did not believe in free SHS, and why did not believe in free SHS then, why would they believe in it now if returned to power? They will simply collapse it. This duo is a perfect disaster for the youth. Madam Jane Naana Opoku-Agyemang supervised the monstrous, heartbreaking 3-month pay policy where teachers worked for 3 years and got only 3 months of pay. This was how mean she was. She supervised the cancellation of the teacher training allowance, forced universities to pay their own utilities, and could not provide just common chalk for schools. This duo portend doom for our country and gloom for the youth who we should be preparing for the fourth industrial revolution. We should have these conversations to ensure that we make an informed decision on who we give our sovereignty to, either good people or bad people. Colleagues, we the youth should be very afraid of the return of John Mahama and should not countenance it. He is not a serious person and doesn't care about anybody. He once told us that 4 years is not enough to develop the country. Strangely enough, he is here again, counting on our short memories and seeking a return for a second term in office. Deep within himself, he knows he cannot do much for you and your future with the one term in office he's seeking. And this should tell us that it is for dubious personal interest and not in the interest of the youth. His re-election quest is about greed, personal aggrandizement, face-saving, and totally ill-motivated. John Mahama hasn't shown any dexterity in helping the youth. His 24-hour economy is nothing but a slogan. The man who could not keep the lights on for 12 hours in a day is promising to keep nightclubs open for 24 hours. He and his party cannot even explain what 24-hour economy is, will remain, and what 24-hour economy will mean to the farmer in Yendi, the teacher in Sunyani, the taxi driver in Boko, and the roasted plantain seller in East Legon, the fisherman in Cape Coast. Now, we know, per the latest explanation by John Dramani Mahama, that this whole 24-hour economy nonsense is about drinking, smoking, dancing away, and not about creating opportunities and jobs for the youth. President John Mahama, in the days and weeks remaining after being voted out of office, could take a cabinet decision and give away 100 acres of prime prison lands, including the postal in Roman Ridge, and offices and accommodation in cantonments to a very close business associate, Caselda, and sign off $300 billion. Listen, and sign off $300 billion worth of Ghana's entire bauxite deposits to his younger brother. Then, what would he do now that he has just 4 years and will not come back to you for any account? Think about it. My friends and colleagues, the NPP does not take your trust for granted. We know that cost of living has gone up and there is ample economic difficulties in our country. These challenges are global. We are all feeling it. If you follow the US presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump last Tuesday, the first question was on the US economy and the cost of living. Because America, like most countries, has faced her worst cost of living crisis since 1933. Even in the heat of these global challenges, which has hit Ghanaians hard, Ghana has remained very, very stable. The NPP has steered the vessel of state with tact and compassion. No fuel shortages, no long queues at the filling stations, as we saw under former President John Mahama. Free SHS and TVET is one piece. No food shortages. There is an increase in public sector employment, and workers get paid on time. The lives are stable. Our economy is getting stronger, and inflation rate has halved. And indicators, including the latest forecast from Fitch, shows that by 2025, inflation will return to where we took it and managed it in 2019, about 10% or below. That is a hard-working government. Inflation had gone all the way to about 54%, and today inflation has come down to about 20%. This government has so far created over 2.1 million jobs in the country, and our infrastructure record is unmatched. We have built more roads, more airports, more railways, more flyovers, more hospitals, more technical education facilities, more warehouses, more fishing harbors, more sports facilities than any government over such a corresponding period in the entire history of independent Ghana. We have transformed the digital space and building the systems that will take Ghana to the next level. We have in the current vice president and leader with his own vision, a vision that aligns with the new challenges and opportunities of the world today and the future of the youth of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has shown that to lead is to solve. He understands that leaders solve problems, and he is a problem solver. He is a thinker, he is a visionary, and highly intelligent.
Yes. Thank you.
He's a man. He's a man of integrity. He has the discipline, self-discipline, and does not drink. He does not smoke. He does not sleep on the job. He is not corrupt. He has had no cause to be investigated, and he is not government official one. Someone is adding he has no business with slave queens. What he represents are the plans. What he presents are the plans that are business friendly and will assist the private sector to grow and create jobs. The NPP Manifesto has so many splendid policies for the youth under Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Thank you.
His attention and focus will be stimulating growth and creating jobs. Businesses are excited by his promise that from January 2025, there will be total tax amnesty if he's voted into office, giving the private sector a new clean slate for growth and job creation. He also promises predictability and consistency with a flat rate policy for duties at the ports for importers. This means that you will pay less and will not be tied to the dollar. As the national youth leader of the NPP, I travel quite a lot, and across the country, the biggest issue confronting young people are jobs, and that is the heart of the NPP's manifesto. And what gives us the credibility is our track record, that we have created 2.1 million jobs. We have shown that we have the capacity and ability to deliver as far as jobs is concerned. Remember that John Dramani Mahama, on the other side, had thrown his hands up in despair and said, I am not a magician to provide jobs. That is a hopeless leader. A Bawumia government will train 1 million youths in digital skills to take full advantage of the fourth industrial revolution. This will include coding, software development, web development. Furthermore, a new era will be opened up and bring in more jobs. This is the mining sector, which will witness new arrangements and simplification. The new bank to be set up for the mining sector will help Ghanaians acquire their own machines. and new registration regime with just the Ghana card will help cut down on galamsey, the galamsey menace. Now, friends in the media, what is fueling galamsey is really a legal regime that is cumbersome. If we are able to streamline it and make it more simple, people would easily go and find legalized lands for operations. And also, once we are able to set up the bank, young people would be able to acquire the necessary machinery to be able to do responsible mining. And Ghanaians would not need to go to China and be looking for so-called investors to come and bring chamfans and excavators and so on and so forth and destroy our environment for us. It will birth a new dawn in mining in Ghana. This will be well regulated and reduce illegal mining. He will make galamsey unattractive for the youth with his plans for responsible mining. Dr. Bawumia has the credibility to back his promises because of his track record. He is a proven performer. He is a proven performer, even in his limited role as vice president.
That is true.
Even in his limited role as vice president. Should he ascend to the presidency, he would definitely put up a stellar performance in all sectors, education, sports, what have you. Ladies and gentlemen, the credit scoring system, which is about to be launched, is a game changer for the youth. It will reduce the heavy burden on us having to look for cash for everything as the status quo is now. From next year, you can buy everything you need and pay small. And that's how the Western system operates. People who want to buy cars, fridge, TVs, and so on and so forth don't have to look for the entire colossal amount and go and buy. All you need is a good credit score. Take it to a dealership, pick up what you need, and you'll be deducted, and you pay small. If we're able to do this, it will take a lot of burden off the youth who are in the thick of their lives, who need a lot of things. You want to buy furniture, vehicles, and so on and so forth. You don't need to gather all the money at the go like we have in this country, everything, cash, boom. You know, you have to pick 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 1 million to go and buy something. No, the credit scoring system is the game changer for the youth of this country. It will reduce to a very large extent the burden on us. We have witnessed Dr. Bawumia'S strong performance as Vice President of the Republic. And we are confident he will guide the youth to realize our full potentials. It is a new dawn for the next generation, the Gen Zs, and so on. Dr. Bawumia represents you. In conclusion, Dr. Bawumia says to you, I understand you and where we are now, and I am here for you. I will work for you and represent your true aspirations. A vote for Dr. Bawumia and Napo is a vote for the young people of Ghana. A vote for John Mahama and Naana Opoku-Agyemang is a vote for end of service benefits.
Thank you. Thank you.
The choice is ours. Either we are looking for progress or we are going to vote and give some people their end of service benefits. This duo cannot help the youth of Ghana. They are well too known for any serious engagement. Let's go for the hardworking Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Napo. And I can tell you, and I can assure you, that these two will work very hard to ensure that our aspirations are met. The choice is yours, and I know you will make a choice for the future. Thank you so much, and may God bless our motherland, Ghana.